So welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name's M and this is Murder, He Wrote. So specifically what I want to start doing is focusing upon unsolved murders in order to jog any memories, to obviously bring these people to justice which haven't faced justice before. But because before I've been doing videos about obviously situations where, or murders which have people being caught and they've been convicted and they've gone to prison. But this time around I wanted to just focus upon all those who have committed a murder but have not been solved. This case is really important to me. It's based in a city or town which I really do love, which I keep meaning to visit but I haven't visited yet. But it's a place which I'm going to go to soon. But it is really important to me, and I remember this case when I was quite young, and it really stood out in my mind. And when I came across doing researching for what videos I wanted to write about, or what happened, I saw the picture and it really stood out to me, and I wanted to really put a lot of emotion into this, or kind of like really open up and kind of explain about how this person was murdered, and just basically to kick this new series off of unsolved murders in order to make it really more specifically focused upon trying to bring people back to justice. And what I'm going to do is leave the descriptions below to all the police and Crime Stoppers, in order to, if it jogs any of your memories or your parents' memories or whatever, because it'll probably be your parents that will remember it, please do obviously get in touch and let's get this case solved for the person's parents' sake. So today the case what I'm going to speak about is about a lovely young lady called Melanie Hall. She was 25 and she lived in a place called Bath in the UK in Somerset. Now let me show a bit of background about who Melanie was and what type of person she was, and let me just speak about her parents. Well, her father was called Steve and her mother was called Patricia, and she was 25 when she was murdered, and she was a clerical assistant in a hospital in Bath. So what was specifically, which is the NHS, so specifically what was key about Melanie? Melanie was a lovely young lady. Everyone says how warm and caring and compassionate she was, and it showed in the profession she ended up working in and who she ended up dating. And again, she was a stunning young lady, and what I felt was really powerful. But the first thing which draws you into any picture of her seems to have such a resonance, such a presence about her. So hence why this is kind of why I picked it, because I remember, as I said, when I was younger. But what was specifically important I wanted to say about Melanie is she was a psychology student. She majored in Bath University, and she always wanted to do psychology. She always wanted to get to work with people and help people. That was her passion. So when she managed to graduate, her mum used to work at the hospital, used to work at Bath Hospital, and in essence, where I'll say that they lived in Bath, they were actually from a place called Bradford upon Avon, which is in Somerset, which is still near Bath. What was specifically important about this case was that Melanie started dating a guy called Philip, and I'll put his name at the bottom here. So Philip was a doctor at the same hospital. They were dating she dated for about 5 years before she passed, and when she was murdered is when she was still with Philip. So on the date of the 8th of June, but it was a normal day. She went to a barbecue with Philip. They got up in the morning, they had breakfast and so on. They went off to a barbecue, and then what happened is they met up with another couple who were friends of theirs, and they hanged out, and everything was normal, everything was fine, and it was one of those things where they just wanted they were young, they wanted to enjoy life before obviously they settled down and have children. They just wanted to go out and have a good time. So they went off to the barbecue, but there was probably around 60 people there. So after the barbecue, it was still kind of early, probably I'll say early, so it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock. So they still wanted to go out. So they went off to a nightclub in the town of Bath. So the nightclub was called Cadillacs in Walcott Street. And what was specifically really important about that day was that England was playing Switzerland in the European Cup, or UEFA Cup. So again, with any football person knows that it was a big thing. They drawed 1-1 with Switzerland. So they kind of went through, and it was a big party, and everyone was really having a good time, and it was a festival, and it was just a really good time. Everybody was celebrating in Bath. So as I said, they went off to Cadillac's nightclub where they had a good time. They were enjoying themselves. The friends of Melanie and Philip went home because they didn't really want to stay that long. Philip stayed for a while and then realized that he needed a bit more money. So again, in the research I've done, there's two stories that he was still there in the club, and what I'm going to tell you in a minute, and what happened next. He was still there, and then this thing happened, or he left the club and then he come back and noticed this situation happening. So let me just go over the one I've kind of like first came across. So it said that Philip left the club and then he came back and he saw Melanie dancing with another man. So now he got upset, they argued, he threw a wobbly, and then he left. And so Melanie was there pretty much on her own, and the last sighting of her was that she was sitting on a bar stool in the club, in Cadillac's club. And a lot of people, again, which is really peculiar. Remember, let's go back. Remember, this was in the 1996. There wasn't CCTVs, there wasn't mobile footages. Yeah, they did have mobiles, but not everybody was carrying them. But remember, CCTV wasn't prominent as it is today. So it was mainly about eyewitnesses. Now, there's many stories I've heard or research I came across which has said what transpires next is a bit shady. I'm not too sure, but I should put them in because they're just, I think, hearsay. But I don't know if it's true. The police have looked into it and couldn't find anything really paramount leading to obviously any convictions, hence why I'm doing this video. So apparently two people saw someone who would fit the description of Melanie talking to another man, and they were kind of close, but they were at one point they were arguing. Somebody else saw somebody fitting her description, again with the same looking man. He was dark haired, and he was about 5'9", I think 5'6", 5'9", and he was seen. Obviously, they were seen arguing and talking. Another two neighbours again, and I'll have to explain a bit in a minute. Neighbours heard a woman shouting, "Get off! Leave me alone! Just let me go!" Now again, it's a Friday or Saturday night, and it's a nightclub. Everyone's out. It's in the 90s. Everybody's out. I remember going out clubbing in them days. Everybody's out, and any form of noise that we're going, especially if it was the club where the people heard it, it was not far from the club, so they would have just thought, you know what, it's just couples arguing. But they thought it was irrelevant because obviously what transpired after with Melanie. So again, what I found a bit shady about it all is that Melanie disappeared, and the reason why they realised Melanie was gone, that she never arrived for work on Monday and her car was still in the parking lot at work. Obviously then her mum raised the alarm. So there's two theories on this. Like you're probably thinking, so where the hell was Philip? Well, then Philip turned around on it's Sunday, why didn't they have some communication? Now don't look at it from today's point of view, because today's point of view, if you have an argument with your partner, the Sunday you probably send a text, or there'll be like angry texts going back and forward. In them days there was no mobiles. Remember, it wasn't Pacific, it wasn't really well known. A lot of people couldn't afford mobiles in them days, and so he probably just, again, this is just what I've came across, He just left it till Monday and just like, I just let her calm down, and he was a bit annoyed that she was dancing with somebody else. That's the story. But again, the Patricia Hall, which is Melanie's mum, wasn't having it. She was like, well, where the hell is my daughter? It's now Monday morning. You know, her work has phoned her. Again, she worked there, so she thought that was a bit weird that no one's seen her. And this is really sad because, again, she was a lovely young lady. She was fun. She was out there. She liked to talk to people. She just started getting her life back together. You know, she came from university. She got a new job, and she got a new partner who was a doctor. She had her whole life ahead of her. So her just going AWOL, or people saying that she just maybe run off with somebody or that she just skipped town is not true. It's just unreal. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. And again, she's from a loving family. Her mum and dad, Steve and Patricia, were really close. They were a tight-knit family. And again, they're like Philip as well. So it doesn't make sense that she would have just moved away at that time. But police again had to look into it. They looked into Philip and they said he wasn't a person of interest. So that could be debunked. So what's happened to Melanie? Where did she go? What is the timeline? What happened to Melanie after the club when she left? And again, which was another important thing, nobody can recall Melanie leaving. I mean, this picture up here is what she was wearing on that time. I mean, you would know her. She will stand out like a sore thumb. Somebody's bound to know or see her leaving. I mean, people remember seeing, or a few people recognize this beautiful lady wearing this outfit with talking to another man. But again, it wasn't Philip. So why don't people see whether she left or not? I just think that was really a bit strange. Again, the police interviewed everybody in the club that night, and again, nothing came for it. They spoke to the bar staff, they spoke to the security, and again, nothing. Nobody just saw where she went. The last time was her sitting on that stool, which seems like a really lonely thing to really hear and say, and basically a vision to see. The police assigned over 60 detectives to the case to find out what the hell happened to Melanie. They also had a 10k reward, £10,000 reward to find out, which led to the successful location of where Melanie could be. They even drained the river Avon, just in case Melanie was drunk and she fell in there and then she may have drowned. But again, nothing. She wasn't there, which is sad to say, but it's good. She may have been alive still. So, but again, she wasn't. So again, they had to go back to plan, and then it kind of went cold. And again, some of the things they did, what the police did, they interviewed as I mentioned, they interviewed all the people that were there. They even interviewed taxi drivers just in case Melanie got a taxi somewhere, and that another taxi driver may have seen Melanie getting in and out of a taxi or being taken somewhere because in them days you had rogue taxi drivers. We had people who used to just pitch up and say the taxi drivers in normal cars, and there's been stories of people kidnapping people who were saying they were taxi drivers and raping women saying that they're taxi drivers. So they had to look into every possible lead, so they did, and again it came up with nothing, considering taxi drivers would always park outside the clubs when they used to get people leaving, especially if you were drunk. You would either come out of the club and then you go for kebab. That was just like a ritual thing you would do, and then you get a cab home, or you all share a cab and you get a cab home. That's what they used to do back in the 90s. They'll probably still do that today, but I'm just saying that's what we did in the 90s. So again, nothing happened, and time went by. Weeks turned into months, months turned into years. Then people started appearing, and there was some possible leads which people have kind of like stepped forward and said that they've done a crime. One guy came forward and said that he was one that murdered Melanie, but the police looked into him and found out that he had traits of, or he was suffering from mental health, so they didn't pursue that line of inquiry, though they looked into it, but they said that he isn't a person of interest. Forward, I just want to read out the people that were interviewed through the time of Melanie's death, what kind of people were interviewed. So I want to read this out because I don't want to get it wrong. I want to make sure I get it right, so bear with me. There was a 44-year-old man who was arrested and claimed to be, this is in 2014, claimed that he was a murderer again. That led to nothing. In 2009, a 37-year-old man was arrested, and again it came to nothing as well. And in 2010, 2 men were arrested. One of them even confessed to killing Melanie, and again that led to nothing as well. So again, it's getting really frustrating. And for me, what's really tragic about this whole thing, it was in the times I used to club. You know, it was in '96 when we were out clubbing, you know, and this could have been a friend of mine, could have been a girlfriend of mine, you know, it could have been in a club I could have been to, you know, so it really brings it home, you know, it really brings it home. So this is why it's kind of emotional, and why it stood out to me. And so again, none of these people had any links to Melanie, so they were just all debunked and not, they were no people of interest, so the police just let them go. Again, let's go back to Patricia and Steve Hall, which is Melanie's parents. So in the 17th of November 2004, they wanted to get some closure. You know, and I totally get this, I really, really do. And my heart goes out to them even today. They look like a lovely family. But they decided to pronounce Melanie dead because there was no leads, there was nothing coming up, so they just wanted to just get closure and just put everything to bed and just mourn her now. So I get why they did it. You know, some people will have said some stupid things, and you know, my heart goes out to them because it can't be easy losing your daughter and then having to admit like she's passed away, and not knowing what happened to her. So, you know, hence why I'm doing this video. So on the 5th of October 2009, there was another new development in the Melanie Hall case. On the M25, there was a slip road which comes off the M25 where some workmen was clearing it to do some new, to just basically clear it to make it a bit more neat and so on. So what happened was this guy was clearing it, workman was clearing it, and came across 4 or 5 black bags taped in blue rope. So I'll put the link up, I'll show you the picture up here now. And so he tried to open it, he was tugging it, he opened it, and then he found human remains. And human remains were sent off to the hospital to be looked at and get a post-mortem. But also found a ring, a unique gold ring. The ring was brought back because obviously the police knew what Melanie was wearing, and what they did, they brought the ring to Steve and Patricia Hall. And Steve and Patricia Hall turned around and confirmed that that ring belonged to Melanie. Now, we don't know, before you think it's Melanie, we don't know, because obviously someone could have taken the ring and that person could have died. But unfortunately, the postman come back and confirmed it was Melanie's remains. So on the 5th of October 2009, Melanie was found and confirmed as dead. So do you remember the keys I mentioned, which the police found when they were going through the growth around Melanie's remains, where Melanie's remains were? They found these car keys. So what they managed to do is find out which car these keys belong to, and it belongs to a Volkswagen Golf. So, and here's a picture of the Volkswagen. And again, they've done a search, and again, this is the license plate, and again, they cleared it, so there was nothing, no links to it. But I just think it's really odd that these keys are just found randomly by Melanie's body. Moving on from there, I just want to just mention that this Golf, they wanted to know who was the owner of this Golf on the dates of April 1996 to August 1997. But again, as I mentioned, they ruled out this Golf that had nothing to do with Melanie's murder. But there was a new development as well to do with the rope. Remember the blue rope I mentioned, which was tied around the black bags? There was a DNA which was found. And I hear you probably going, yes, we probably got something to say that we can find who the hell killed poor Melanie. But unfortunately, the DNA was so poor that they just don't have the technology just yet to kind of identify who the DNA belongs to. So Crime Stoppers, again, as I mentioned, had £10,000 reward up. Melanie's parents put up a 50k reward, so that's like 60k to find out what the hell happened to Melanie and how she was murdered. But they just want to know, and alas, it didn't lead to anything. And again, they still are ongoing and they're still looking into that. So let me just roughly say about some of these suspects, which I mentioned earlier on. So there's a suspect which, and let me just speak about the men and people. There was 11 men interviewed in regards to the death of Melanie, but again, they led to nothing. Remember I mentioned about the couple that saw someone that looked like Melanie arguing with a man, and what they said is that the description fit the description what everybody else saw. But this man had a really nice snazzy watch. Apparently the person said he had a really nice snazzy watch, and it really stood out to them. So was it that this guy was trying to coerce Melanie to come with him? Did Melanie know him? Did Melanie meet him in the club after Philip left? Did Melanie go with this guy? Was it even Melanie? Nobody knows, because again, they never traced who this person was. But it's quite interesting to know that this person, obviously with a snazzy watch, and apparently he had a silk shirt. Back in the day, that was kind of like the thing. If you had a silk shirt, you used to wear a silk shirt to say that you had money. So he clearly, whoever this person is, had money. Now, did Melanie know this person, or did she just meet him in a club? Was it even Melanie that these two people saw? And again, was these people drunk, or were these people intoxicated? We don't know. There's not much about them, but they did say that they did see someone who looked like Melanie, and but they didn't even mention what outfit she was wearing. And there have been times when people turned around and said, "Oh, they've seen people I've known at clubs," and it wasn't even them. But it is just what it is, and we don't know whether these people who saw this person was actually of mind, sound and body, as in they didn't have any kind of intoxication in their system to say that they may have been drunk. But then again, I don't think they would have not had that come forward and said something if they were drunk, so that probably demissed the idea. It's just something I just want to mention, just in case someone goes, well, maybe they were drunk and they just seeing things and they just wanted to get some kind of reward, and that's why they stepped forward. Maybe they just stepped forward because they just cared, but either way, it didn't lead to much. So before I wrap up this case, I just want to sum all up and just ask you guys for your help. Though this happened like all these years ago in 1996, somebody's aunt, uncle, member of the family would know what happened to Melanie, would have known or remember something about this. And again, I'll leave the information below for you guys to get in touch. But what I just want to just mention about the amount of calls and how important this case was, there was over 1,750 calls made that came into the police station. There was 1,668 statements taken, and the police have tried their best. And they are really trying and obviously identify what really happened to Melanie, and this is the actual detective that is leading the case now, and I'll put his name up on the screen. So if you know anything, please do step forward and please contact obviously Bath Police or Crime Stoppers, and let's see if we can put this to bed. And the other thing is well, someone must know something. You know, you mean to tell me there was like a nightclub and no one didn't see anything? How many people were in that club? Probably, if it was packed, you're looking at 200, probably 250, 300 people. You mean to tell me you never saw anything? It seems very shady for me, knowing I'm from that generation, and I would recognize somebody if I was coming out of a club. You would recognize what she's wearing. She wasn't just an ordinary looking girl. This is my point. You know, she stood out. And everyone says that she stood out. And because she was bubbly, she would just talk to anybody. So it seems a bit really weird that nobody, I don't know what the situation is, but I've never been to the club, but I just know that these people said that they didn't see her leave. So she just disappeared at the club. So again, if you can help in any way, please do get in touch. But and if you like these videos, let me know by obviously smashing that the thumbs up, and also can you also press the bell and share as well. Please share the video with people, because you never know, this could be a link to getting and finding that murderer, and let's bring justice for Melanie, a beautiful soul, a lovely energy. And you know what, let's help Steve and Patricia lay her to rest finally. So I'll see you in my next video, and look, stay safe and take care of yourself and look after yourself and others. Speak to you soon.